people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. What would serve as official confirmation of the bout ahead of an official announcement. Apparently, France's own amateur standout, Estelle Mossely, is going to be taking on Mexico's own seasoned journeywoman, the very dangerous Carla Zamora, in April in Estelle's native France for what is a vacant WBA gold title. I could have swore that the WBA was going to be phasing out those secondary titles, those interim and gold titles.
They must have pulled back on that plan, as this WBA gold title they're fighting for, it's manufactured. Neither fighter was holding it.
Just miraculously appeared out of thin air on time for this fight. Estelle Mossely sports a professional record of 11 wins with no losses, 1 draw, and 1 recorded knockout to Carla Zamora, who sports a professional record of 11 wins with 10 losses, 1 draw, 4 knockouts, having been knocked out at least once in 22 professional bouts. That knockout loss was many, many years ago, somewhere back there in 2015.
Carla has fought a lot of fighters since then, some of them very strong punchers, and she's won some fights, she's lost some fights, but she's proven herself a durable fighter, very durable, having last seen action in November of last year.
She's been busy. She fought 3 times in 2022 and 3 more times last year. Scored some highlight reel knockouts, knocking out Canada's own Jessica Camara and Argentina's own former champion, Erica Farias. She did drop a decision in between the both of those bouts to Brazil's own amateur standout, Beatriz Ferreira. She's set to face yet another amateur standout in Estelle Mossely, but not all amateur standouts, not all Olympians are created equal.
Estelle had 2 fights last year.
Not a fighter that I've been terribly impressed with over the years, and being honest with you, there's a chance that she could lose this fight. There is. Set to go down in her native France, Estelle will have home field advantage, and she's gonna need it.
She's gonna need all the help she can get.
Jessica Camara had home field advantage against Carla last year. That didn't stop Carla from knocking her out.
You think she's gonna knock out Estelle?
I think it's possible. Estelle Mossely is best described as a finesse fighting kind of fighter who's not big on power. She's a decent long-range fighter, long-range puncher, whose best punches are her straight punches, though mid-range, she gets flustered and is more prone to holding, whereas mid-range, that's Carla Zamora's sweet spot. That's where she does her best work. It behooves Estelle Mossely to keep it long and loose and on the outside, because she don't want to trade with Carla.
She doesn't have the power to do it. What a dog.
It's a part of the reason I've never been all that impressed with Estelle Mossely. Some of these Olympians, they make better amateurs than they do professionals. Estelle Mossely, her ex-husband, Tony Yoka, the both of them jointly won the gold in the Olympics, but as professionals, I mean, look at Tony. Tony was retired. He was just retired by a journeyman in Riyad Merhi, and Estelle, she's been circling on the outskirts, on the fringe, scared to swim on the deep end.
I wouldn't say that her quality of competition is terrible. No, it hasn't been terrible, but it hasn't been ambitious either. For an Olympic gold medalist who debuted as a professional the year after Katie Taylor, you would have expected Estelle to get a lot more done by now. Think about all these fighters that Katie Taylor's been in the ring with.
Ana E. Esther Sanchez, Victoria Bustos, Rose Vellante, Delphine Passoon, all the champions at 135.
2 champions at 140 in Christina Lenardatu and Chantel Cameron 2 times, a pound-for-pound fighter in Amanda Serrano.
More noteworthy scalps in Natasha Jonas and Jessica McCaskill. Think about that grocery list of who's who fighters anywhere at or around these weights. Then consider that not only is Estelle Mossely an Olympic gold medalist like Katie, but she's actually younger than Katie, and she debuted as a professional the year after Katie. But who has she fought? To understand that she took a little bit of time out because she was with child. She took some time off to give birth, but all in all, I can't say that her pro boxing career has been as ambitious as her amateur career. She strikes me as a professional amateur, because unless I'm mistaken, I think she's trying to qualify for the next Olympics.
To me, she still fights like an amateur. She doesn't exhibit the pop or the durability, the gusto to really make a splash in the pros, and perhaps that's why she still hasn't, whereas Carla Zamora...
Carla is a journeywoman with losses in the double digits, but depending on the situation, not all journeywomen are created equal. Depending on the situation, a journeywoman could quickly become a gatekeeper. And I think Carla packs enough pop, enough punch, that if she gets in with a good one, she could hurt Estelle Mossely. Estelle's got to stay on her toes, keep it long and loose, and on the outside, because mid-range to inside, she ain't got enough pop to trade with Carla. The best thing she can do mid-range is tie her up. Set to go down in late April in Lyon, France for a vacant WBA gold title at super lightweight. We'll talk more about the fight as the fight date approaches. In men's light heavyweight news, per a tweet from Marcos Villegas, his recent sit-down interview with the Bob father, Bob Arum, apparently, the undisputed light heavyweight title fight between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, the last two remaining champions at light heavyweight, will not be billed as a pay-per-view. You're gonna get it at no additional charge as part of your already existing ESPN subscription.
Which goes back to what I told you before. Two Russian nationals, even two very good ones like Artur and Dmitry, they're not going to draw but so many eyes to their fight on American soil.
American audience has a penchant for being highly xenophobic and tribalistic, and they're just not going to be all that invested in two Russian guys duking it out, even if they're two very good fighters. In tandem with where the fight is taking place, it's taking place in Saudi Arabia, which better accommodates a UK time zone than a US time zone. Those are not prime time hours for a boxing match, not in America. It wouldn't make sense to bill it as a pay-per-view. Not here, but perhaps there. Perhaps in the United Kingdom, because lest we forget, they've decided to combine the Matchroom versus Queensberry tournament with this show.
So it might still be a pay-per-view for the Brits, but not for us.
We're gonna get all that content at no additional charge, and the Bob father, Bob Arum, and Top Rank are providing that content at no expense to them because it's the Saudis footing the bill. It's the Saudis paying the fighters, not Top Rank and ESPN.
And that's called smart business.
Top Rank doesn't have to dip into their annual budget to make that fight happen because it's the Saudis making that fight happen, and all Top Rank has to do is air it via their broadcast partner in ESPN and collect their cut, as the fight does involve at least one of their fighters, thereby creating a surplus of cash that Top Rank can then reallocate towards a different fight with two different fighters, and that's how business is done. And we're getting all of this at no additional charge to us. It's value for money is what it is.
But that's not all, folks.
Just in keeping with the theme of value for money, Fox, ESPN, and Warner Brothers Discovery are teaming up to create a joint streaming platform to share sports assets, according to multiple reports. The service will be available to ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Max subscribers, and it's expected to launch later on this year.
Yeah, I heard about this earlier this week. What's that all about?
I don't want to be long-winded, so I'll try to keep this as simple as I can. Over the years, many American homes have been moving away from cable and satellite packages. An alarming number of Americans have already begun to cut the cord.
Why?
It's to save a few bucks. They don't want to pay expensive cable and satellite bills for a bunch of channels they're not watching anyway. This has been going on for years now, and I've talked about it several times, how many Americans are cutting the cord and moving away from conventional cable and satellite packages, and what they've been doing is subscribing to specific platforms, just the stuff they know they want to watch.
Okay, I'm following.
So this goes on for a while. In an effort to save a few bucks, people are moving away from cable packages and they're only subscribing to specific platforms for specific content. As a result of that, content in and of itself has become too fragmented. That you need a subscription with these guys to watch this, and you need to be subscribed to those guys to watch that. With so many Americans cutting the cord and moving away from those cable packages, the networks themselves have begun to feel the pinch because things are a lot more fragmented now. ESPN is a prime example. You get ESPN as part of a basic cable package. But what happens when Americans start moving away from cable packages? You know what what happens? They miss out on eyeballs.
Okay, I'm following.
ESPN as a platform is a good example, but they're not the only ones. They're not the only ones feeling the pinch. Thus, this joint venture between Fox, ESPN, and Warner Brothers Discovery hopes to bundle up all these sports assets and these varying sports rights in order to share an audience. The old saying goes, there's strength in numbers, and that's the hierarchy of thought here. If Fox Sports has the rights to one kind of sports, and ESPN, they've got the rights to another, and Warner Brothers,
They've got the rights to some other kind of sport.
if they combine all their respective assets, they in essence share an audience and get back all those eyeballs they've been missing out on. As a result of things becoming so fragmented over time, what they're doing is bringing back bundles.
Think of it as a cable package, but in streaming form, for a niche audience.
Sports fan that wants to take in various different sports that are aired on various different channels. The sports fan that doesn't want to get all caught up paying expensive cable and satellite bills would like a bundle of some kind that is more tailored to what they want to watch, what they want to see. In this instance, sports. Various different sports.
And what does any of this have to do with boxing?
Value for money. Value for money to the already existing ESPN subscriber. Very soon, you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck by way of ESPN. So we're in Amazon Prime, in an effort to break into the world of sports, wants to charge its already existing subscribers an additional charge just to see Zoo versus Thurman. ESPN is bringing you Beterbiev versus Bivol at no additional charge. They're also going to start getting stuff from Fox, Fox Sports, Warner Brothers Discovery.
Value for money. Value for money to the consumer, value for money to the customer. It's going to be that much more difficult for Amazon Prime to break into the world of sports if both Fox Sports, ESPN, and Warner Brothers Discovery combine their respective sports assets.
It's getting competitive, and in a word, what's happening is the powers that be, these very big platforms, are acclimatizing themselves to a more digital environment where cable and satellite may soon become a thing of the past.
Adapt or die.
Most liken it to the transition from vinyl to 8-track, 8-track to cassettes, cassettes to CDs, CDs to MP3s, and MP3s to streaming platforms.
That's where it's at, and that's all it is.
Thus, anyone already boxing on the ESPN platform might want to count their lucky stars that they're still there or do their best to stay there, as they may receive an influx of eyes to that platform. And I say this with someone specific in mind. Young Shakur Stevenson in mind, who Boxing Insider Rick Glacier says will regret his decision to turn down a $15 million minimum guarantee over 5 fights from Top Rank and heads to free agency after his next fight. Shakur won't find the grass is greener on the other side. He'll find the waters muddier. A very bad decision.
$15 million divided by 5 is $3 million a fight, which is roughly the same contract minimum he's been getting.
He can't seriously be expecting Top Rank to give him a pay increase to his contract minimum, given the stinker that he put on in his very last fight. And that's not the only one. The Nicotila fight was a stinker too. Is it the way Rick Glacier says? And is it that Shakur Stevenson figures the grass will be greener on the other side if he tries his hand out at free agency? Well, I doubt the PBC have either the money or the fight dates to accommodate him. I don't think they're about to give him $3 million a fight the way that Top Rank wants to give him $3 million a fight. The PBC.
Grass ain't greener on that side of the street.
It's not greener on the Matchroom side of things either. Matchroom may have the fight dates, but what they don't have are the lightweights. What options would they have for Shakur Stevenson, especially given what he wants to get paid per fight? He seems to want to get paid in excess of $3 million per fight, but to fight who? On the Matchroom side of things. Top Rank has the inside track on all the lightweights. Most of the notariable fighters and the notariable names, they're right there at Top Rank.
2 of the 4 major titles are right there at Top Rank, not counting his own, not counting the WBC title. In fact, the only title that Top Rank doesn't have is the WBA title.
Javante's got that one, but Javante's not about to fight Shakur Stevenson, so that's a lost cause. And this is the situation. This is the landscape at 135 pounds at this time. This is what's going on. And now is when Shakur Stevenson wants to try his hand out at free agency. It's important to note that he's not a free agent yet.
You want to pay attention to that, and you want to pay attention to his quote-unquote retirement.
No one actually believes that Shakur Stevenson has hung them up and hung them up for good. I think his retirement will last about as long as it takes him to get the winner of Lomachenko versus Kambosos in the ring, or the winner of Navarrete versus Beranchyk in the ring. That's who I think he's gunning for.
Then why the retirement?
Because he doesn't want to be pestered with anybody else. Rumor has it that they offered him Raymond Muratalla. Rumor has it they offered him that unbeaten up-and-comer, and for young Shakur, that fight might be more trouble than it's worth. That's a fight that he doesn't get out of bed for. Raymond Muratalla is a very capable fighter, and he has all the makings of a potential star. We'll see. But for now, to Shakur, that's not a big fight. And what he's looking for are the big fights, the big names, the notoriable ones. Raymond Muratalla is only really known to hardcore boxing fans, really hardcore boxing fans that pay more attention to the sport than most. That's not a fight Shakur gets out of bed for.
Shakur's got smart handlers. These people aren't stupid. On the face of it, it may seem like he wants to try his hand out at free agency, but he's not actually a free agent yet. And even if he were, he's already on the right side of the street. The best side of the street.
Most of the big names and most of the belts at this weight. So when he announces his retirement, but simultaneously rejects a contract extension with Top Rank, I don't actually think it's because he wants to cross the street.
I think it's because he doesn't want them imposing anyone on him. He's waiting out for the winner of Lomachenko versus Kambosos or Navarrete versus Beranchyk.
He announced his retirement, his quote-unquote retirement, but he's not a free agent yet. He still owes Top Rank one more fight. He knows that. He also knows Top Rank wants to put him in the ring with Muratalla, but he doesn't want to do that. So he announces his retirement to circumvent that fight so he can get the winner of Navarrete versus Beranchyk or Lomachenko versus Kambosos. That's what I think the play is, and it's a smart play.
Then why not just accept the contract extension?
It's likely because he hopes to get the winner of one of those fights in the ring, win that fight, and then use that as leverage to negotiate a better deal. A better deal for more money. It could take some time because he's got to wait for the winner of Navarrete versus Beranchyk to emerge, the winner of Lomachenko versus Kambosos to emerge. Then he's got to try to get a fight with them. Then he's got to win the fight.
This could take a while.
Could take months. But that's what I think he's doing. He would rather sit on his hands than roll the dice with Muratalla, and where on the face of it, some might think that he's trying to leave Top Rank. I don't think he's actually trying to leave. I think he's trying to negotiate a better deal. But that's gonna take some time.
Because he's got to wait for all of those fights to happen, and then he has to hope that he can get the winners of those fights in the ring. The caveat is the winners of those fights, they might fight each other.
If Lomachenko beats Kambosos, and if Navarrete beats Beranchyk, and then they decide they want to unify with each other, they fight each other instead, that leaves Shakur out in the cold. What's the play then?
And what if, between now and then, the WBC orders you to fight somebody? See, it's a decent plan, but it's not a foolproof plan.
In any event, that's what I think he's doing, and that's why.